I have a question that I would like to ask you today. What if your next sin was your last sin? What if your very next sin was your last sin? And somebody may say, what are you talking about? What if the very last thing that you do when you leave this world? What if your next sin is your last sin? I want you to think about it. What if you like to cuss? What if that's the last thing that you're doing when you leave this world? Have you ever thought about that before? Have you ever thought the very thing that you need to stop doing, what if that's the very last thing that you're caught doing when it's your time to go? See, what if you got a bad temper? What if that's the way that you leave this world? Having a bad attitude, mistreating somebody, looking down on somebody. I want you to think about it now, because remember, nobody knows the time, the day, the hour when they're called to leave this world. We're just called to be ready. But I want you to ask yourself, have you ever thought about the things that you know in your life that you need to work on? What if that becomes the very last thing that you're caught doing when your eyes close? See, I want you to think about you being in the bed. See, it's nothing wrong with you dying in your bed, but you got to be real and say, who's going to be next to you in your bed? And what will you be doing in the bed? I want you to think about it now. What's the last thing that you'll be doing in your car? What's the last thing that you'll be doing over your friend's house, over your mama's house? What's the last thing that you'll be watching on TV? What's the last thing that you will be listening to? See, what is the very last thing that you will be doing when it's time for you to leave this world and when that death angel comes for you? Ask yourself that question. Could your next sin be your last sin? Because see, what I realized is when I was living in a world of sin, I never thought that my world would come to an end. I want you to think about that now. When you living in a world of sin, you never think your life is going to come to an end. But my friend, think about how many people got caught thinking that they had time and thinking that their life was never going to come to an end, but it was their very last sin. See, somebody left this world drunk driving. I want you to think about it. Somebody left this world cheating on their mate. See, somebody left this world with somebody else's wife, with somebody else's husband. I want you to think about it now. Somebody left this world dealing drugs, smoking drugs. Somebody left this world because they got a hold to some bad drugs, to some marijuana. I want you to think about it now. What is the last way that you can leave this world? See, I want you to think about going to concerts. It's nothing wrong with going to concerts, but what kind of concerts are you going to? See, do you want to leave this world at any kind of concerts? Think about all those people who died at that Travis Scott concert. Is that really the last place that you want to be when your eyes close, jumping up and down to all that filthy music? You have to really ask yourself the question, where will I be? What will I be doing when it's my time to go? And we don't know when it's going to be our time to go. So that's something that you need to think about. Will you leave this world fighting? Will you leave this world at the club, at the bar? How will you leave this world when it's your time to go? Could your next sin be your very last sin? And if your next sin is your last sin, do you think you're going to really make it to the gate in the end? I want you to think about it now. Overlook your life, and you need to go to God and say, God, help me get rid of anything that's not like you. Help me get rid of anything that's not like you. At the end of the day, we have to be right when we stand before a holy God. And it's time for us to go to God, not just wanting things from God, but wanting to do better by God. And go to God and say, God, help me get rid of anything that's not like you. So when my eyes close, I know I'll be greeted by you and I'll be welcome to stay with you. So always remember my closing. Self-examination is the best examination, and Jesus Christ is Lord, and he's all we have. Have a great rest of the day.